when you do look at reality, it's freaking unbelievable. The more you stare at it, the more you, like, if you're caught, just if your whole life is working, you never have one chance to stop and look at it. Stop! Because you're living, I always say this, you're living in a miracle. We're living in a miracle. Welcome, modern day mystics, fellow truth seekers, James and Justin, back at it again, helping you to better connect with this divine yet somewhat peculiar reality we all find ourselves in. So, we're jumping into our request bin, and a ton of people asked us to do this meaning of life video, Muslim spoken word.
Okay.
And it's probably due to the Dr. Zakir movie videos that we did.
Right.
There were a lot of Muslims that watched that and they were like, do these requests. And this one was like at the top of the pile to do a reaction on this video here. So we're going to do that. But before we jump into it, we just obviously we want to let you know, disclaimer, we aren't Muslims, right? So we're not here to like pick the Muslim faith apart. We're just here to react on it and give learn and give our honest perspective from where we come from. All right. So let's get into it.
What are we doing here? And where are we gonna go? It's like we just woke up one morning and then it's welcome to the show. Don't ask any questions, just go with the flow. Make as much money as you can and try your best not to get broke. Copy everything you see on the TV, from the hairstyles to the clothes, and don't think too often, just do exactly as you're told. And if you ever get confused, then just turn towards the alcohol. You'll still hear your thoughts, then just turn up the radio as you learn to live a lifestyle of drugs, sex, and rock and roll.
So I feel like right off the bat, the tone is being set at like that thing where you're going through life, you're just doing all the mundane tasks, stuck in the rhythm, and you've got higher questions, or like you're looking for maybe something like, is there more? Is this all there is to it? And he, showed how like some people turn to alcohol or whatever vice there might be out there.
So far, I get what he's saying.
It's very relatable.
Yes.
Very relatable.
I get it. And I want to hear more.
But in all honesty, I just need to know, is there more to the cycle than growing and getting old? Living and dying just to leave behind a happy home and a whole lot of property that somebody else is going to own. I just really need to know before the casket's closed, cause I'm not...
This is a good way of doing it too, because honestly, I've done rants on here, like what this guy's saying, but they're rants, they're projecty rants. Yeah. This is like a more sensible way, to be honest, to do it, because he's got a message. It's palatable.
Yeah. It's kind of poetic too.
Yeah. It's like, yeah.
Willing to gamble with my soul, nor am I ready to take any chances. These are just simple life questions, and I'm just searching for some answers. Like, what are we doing here? And what is our purpose? How did we get here, and who made us so perfect? And what happens once we go, or is this world all really worth it? Questions we don't answer because apparently we don't really have to. There's no purpose to this life and our existence is merely natural. Then in that case, please let me ask you, did you create yourself or was it somebody else who had fashioned you? Cause you're a being that's impeccable, faultless and unparalleled. You're a product of supreme intelligence and I'm merely being rational. For there isn't a camera.
So obviously he's like, now it's getting deeper, right? We're getting deeper. The questions are more profound, more existential. Like, who am I? Why am I here? Is there purpose? And these are all reasonable questions I like to ask from what
I'm just trying to think of. I'm kind of going meta here about the whole everything that we're doing. We're looking at this guy who's Muslim, right?
Yeah.
And he's talking about this and peppering in. Now it looks like he's getting into some spiritual stuff. And then I think about the other videos that we do on here. and the other things we bring to YouTube. Like, we just did one that was a Christian worship thing.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about somebody that's like, pick a side, man. You need to just pick a side. Pick one of these things. Yeah, they've got similarities, blah, 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 blah. Pick one. I'm not doing it. I'm not. Because, I don't believe that we can't find at least common ground and hear each other even when our beliefs are different and stuff like that. That's why we're doing this.
Yeah, and this is kind of just appreciating their style, their thing, what they're doing. Right?
I get what this guy's saying.
Yeah.
I guess I just shudder at the idea that somebody wouldn't listen to him because it's like, one of the many faiths that we showcase here.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I just thought I'd throw that in there.
On this earth that can come close to the human eye, nor a computer that can compete alongside the human mind. And if the whole world was to come together, we wouldn't be able to create a single fly. So many signs, yet we still deny. As science tries to justify that all this could come from none, when it's a simple sum. 0 + 0 + 0 cannot possibly ever give you 1. So from where did all this order come?
So he's pointing to the natural design argument, I guess, or the intelligent design argument, sorry.
Valid argument.
When you do look at reality, it's freaking unbelievable. The more you stare at it and the more you, like, if you're caught, if your whole life is working, you never have one chance to stop and look at it. Stop! Because you're living, I always say this, you're living in a miracle. We're living in a miracle. The fact that you can watch us on a screen, and
just always got to be sensitive. Always got to be sensitive to the people that are, are having a hard time, and I have a hard time sometimes.
I think even though, and I've talked to atheists, we've had atheists on the show before, even though they don't necessarily believe in God, I still think that they think reality is magical on some level, like something.
Yes. Well, it is because it's mysterious.
Yeah.
Science does not have every answer.
Yeah.
So it is mysterious by its nature in a lot of ways, right? And like I'm saying, like, we're trying to be unifying and all these different things, and somebody may take the position of like, well, I don't give a crap how you feel. I've got the answer and I'm right.
Yeah.
So do the right thing. Somebody may have that approach to things.
They're allowed to have that, right?
They're allowed to have that thought.
Yeah.
But everything has its origins, a maker, a creator of its own. I mean, the only reason you're watching this video is because somebody had to press upload. So we can believe in the Big Bang, but I'd rather believe in He who caused it to explode. Allah, the creator of everything along with every single soul. The ever-living, the master, the only one who is in control. Unlike his creation, beyond our imagination. And no, he's not a man, nor does he have any partners in association. He's on his own. And no, he did not ever leave us alone. Just like every manufacturer, he left us with an instruction manual.
So, it's like gear shift. We just went into a gear shift in this video here, where it's kind of like, set everything up, and now he's introducing Muslim principles now.
Right.
The instruction manual, obviously, I'm going to assume it's going to be the Quran.
Yeah.
And so, and I understand this is a Muslim guy doing it, so obviously it makes sense that he would be doing it. I think from the outside perceptive looking at that, there's going to be some skepticism from those who aren't Muslim looking at that. They're going to have some more questions, I think, out there than they're not just going to go, oh, well, because you say the Quran is, they're not going to go, oh, okay, they're going to have to look at it and judge for themselves whether or not they're.
Have you ever heard of Byron Katie?
Yeah.
I'll just do a slight sidebar there.
Yeah.
She was talking with this kid one time. People come up and they give her problems, and she's a mystic, and she gives them answers to their problems, right?
Yeah.
She was talking to this kid whose family was all deeply religious, and he had gone off and become spiritual you know, and he didn't want to follow his family's traditions, and he was just harping on them like, they won't listen to me. They won't, you know, I'm trying to save them and help them, and they won't listen to me. They were all some unified religion. Yeah. And she was like, switch that all around. And he was like, I won't listen to them. And she was like, that's right. You won't listen to them. They want to help you. Yeah. Right? So anybody coming with, you know, sometimes I think we lose sight of the fact that like most people are not as bad as sometimes it seems when we're in a bad place. A lot of people actually have some good intentions, you know, or heart's in the right place maybe. Yeah. And maybe they want to help. They have an answer. They have found an answer and they want to share that answer. Yeah. Yeah.
The Quran and Islam, and I'm sorry to jump to conclusions, but it's the only one possible. The only definition of God is the one and only supreme being. It's logical. A book with zero contradictions, with miracles that are both scientific and historical, all revealed over 1400 years ago. Like the detailed description of the human embryo.
The descriptions of the human embryo in the Quran cannot be based on scientific knowledge in the 7th century.
To the mountains as pegs holding firm the earth below, and the two seas that don't mix in a complete separate flow. To the planets in orbit, alternating night and day as they stay in flow. The expansion of the universe and the creation of everything from H2O. To the stories of the past and the preservation of Pharaoh. To identifying the lowest point in the land where Persia defeated Rome. The gushing fluid that created man in the glands between the ribs and the backbone. And not a word has changed, it's still the same. So please explain how all this was known.
So again, now it's kind of like moved into we're using the physical now to, you know, describe the spiritual, right?
A trick I've seen Christians do many times.
Oh, well, I don't know if it's a trick.
It's not a trick. It's not a trick, but it's interesting because I know people that were Christian that met a Muslim and then weren't Christians anymore. Yeah. And I'm wondering if it ever goes the other way because there are like Christian scientists like Ken Hovind and stuff that will talk about how the cosmos prove things that are relevant in the Bible. And you know what I mean? It's just... come on, guys, we're all the same. Yeah. You know what I mean? We're all pretty similar.
I would say that I know of other religions out there that, like, if you look it up online, it'll be like, you know, like 10 scientific facts that prove that the Bible was, you know, the Word of God. And not to diminish what he's saying, I'm just like, it's good. And maybe there was some type of supernatural power that led to some of those understandings. I don't know. Mm-hmm. I wasn't there when the Quran was written.
Right. This is what observation looks like.
Yeah.
This is what observation looks like. We're observing this and applying our own thoughts to it.
Yeah. Exactly. All right. Let's keep going.
Over 1400 years ago, to a man who couldn't read or write as he would recite whatever the angels spoke. And if you still don't believe, please try to come up with something that's even close. But you can't, so we took God as a mockery and his messengers as a joke.
Muhammad could not read or write. How somebody who can't read or write gonna start a religion?
Dismissed his scriptures as legends and...
That's a terrible, you know, like, I know that resonates, but it baffles me. There's somebody out there that's like, yeah! How does somebody that can't read or write start a religion? Like, I know that that's somebody out there, but I don't get, like... I'd be like, out of the way. You're in the way. Shh. Has nothing to do with anything.
Tales of the ancient folk as we live life according to our whims, desires, and hopes. Saying this life is the only home we will ever know. We will live then die then simply turn to bones. YOLO! Correction, after the grass dies, the rain arrives and it regrows, and Allah promises to do the same thing to your very soul and bring you back from your very fingertips to your toes. as the all-seeing supreme being watches us so close, and we are surely being tested in our wealth, our health, and our self, and everything that we've been blessed with. So believe, for we will surely be resurrected and be brought back to our Lord and account for every single deed as He hands us our books and orders us to read.
One thing I really get from this is that there's a strong emphasis on our impermanence and getting you in touch with that impermanence to think of things higher than just living in the now, which is understandable. I think that's something that everyone can relate to, unless maybe you've got oodles of dough and you're like, I don't have time to
This is what people, believe it or not, trying to find truth and trying to do something and trying to live and trying to get their thoughts together, both this guy and us reacting to him. You know, I have a pessimistic voice almost sometimes that's like, if you're not an authority, you shouldn't do nothing. But it's not like there hasn't been, you know, tyrannical authorities and people that are not perfect that are in authority, you know.
Yeah.
It almost doesn't matter how accurate any of this shit is, because the point is this, you know, who isn't doing their best to like understand life, to live it the best way they know how.
Well, I think there's probably a lot of people who maybe take it for granted sometimes, but
right. But you know what I'm saying? Like I don't think that's this guy. He's not like dispassionate.
Yeah, not this guy. This guy obviously cares a lot about what he's doing.
Yeah. Anyway, but I don't. Do you understand what I'm saying, man? Like.
I do think at the end of the day, like whether or not you cover it up or you're going with your life, I think that this is a priority in people's life, this type of thing, but they get caught up with their survival and living and just trying to make it to the next day, that a lot of these questions don't get to be asked.
Yeah, that's true.
From the bad to the good and everything in between. You yourself are sufficient for your own accountability, so don't be mad at me. You are the one who thought he wouldn't come back to me. I gave you a whole life long to search after me, but you were busy in all that which was temporary, so read. And glad tidings to all those who believed, and if you disbelieve, read. And don't let that day be the first day you find out what your life really means. Read.
Well, there you have it. The meaning of life, Muslim spoken word. There was a lot in there. We stopped a bunch of times to chat her up. But now that you've seen our reaction on it, let us have it. Be gentle on us. And, you know, maybe you agree with some of the things we said, maybe disagree, but we'll listen to you. And if you like this video, don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, share this with a friend, and everybody, until next time, stay spiritual.